Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new, with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is the Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages, a blind read-through. And today we are covering the Prologue and Chapter 1.
Prologue and Chapter 1!
What a week, Kitty. I barely had any time to think of Way of Kings this week, because it was almost entirely dominated by the revelations from the last book and these two chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote many, many notes, and they're even organized into sections, and we have a lot of housekeeping to do before we get into the prologue.
All good.
Excellent. Shall we start with the leftovers then?
Yes.
It's amazing to me how both close and far we were from the truth in varying degrees. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I was so far off from the truth. I feel like I was way off.
And we were.
Like too far off. Yeah. I was not close enough, but I guess, yeah, that you can't really be close without knowing exactly. That's what a twist is, you know?
Indeed. I think it was brought up several times in the last couple of episodes for Ascension Unleashed, but do we stand by our statement that giving up the power was still the right thing for Vin to do?
Yeah, considering all the knowledge that she had, I think it was the right thing to do in her mind.
Yeah.
But, okay, so in context, but then if we're talking about the prophecy of it all, I suppose, giving up that power, I suppose, releasing the Kraken, that having that released, I think is still of prophecy. It is meant to happen.
I agree. So I don't think Vin had any knowledge of the metal sheet, so I don't think she had any reason whatsoever to consider that there could be a downside to whatever it was that she was trying to do or should do there. So that primarily lies on Sazed for not revealing that, whether or not those reasons were good or not. I think it's immaterial whether or not Sazed shared, especially considering we know that it was an altered document with many vagaries in it. But I want to sort of highlight a point that you made just now, which is in these kinds of stories, I've found that the imprisonment kind of thing is generally the temporary solution, not the permanent solution. So I'm gonna go ahead and argue that to solve the actual problem, the thing had to be released so that it could be stopped. So I do think she did what was best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. In in a meta sense, yeah. In like from our perspective, it's what's best for the world. She obviously won't find that out for a while.
Yeah. I also want to talk about millennial power. So I think within the context of what was written there, I think millennial was written sort of in the same sense as the word primordial. This ancient evil power type thing, this source power. But
why do you think that?
It's
okay. Finish your butt first.
It's just kind of the vibe I got from the sentence, from the context of the sentence and how it was written next to the other sentences. But millennia, 1,000, Reshek ruled for 1,000 years, issues of fate. I wondered if this is a cyclical event, and then I thought, wait, cyclical like the Everstorm? Those were some thoughts I had this week.
Yeah.
And
that's very Wheel of Timey as well. Just the idea of cyclical devastation and heroes and things like that. That that influence is very strong. I did want to say, yeah, my understanding of millennial power is that it does build up, or whatever. There's some sort of cyclical building up over 1,000 years, and then it needs to be basically the well fills up essentially, and then it needs to be released, or not either released or used. And this time it wasn't used. It was released, and that's the problem. So it's like it unclogged. It was given, that power was, I suppose, given. I don't know if it was given to the entity, which we found is their name later on, or if it was just released away from this. It's like it was it unplugged the prison.
Well said. And I also want to call attention to the similarities I experienced when the thing was talking to Vin. I kind of got almighty vibes from it. Obviously, this is evil. And I have so many theories once we actually get into the prologue chapter, once we learn a specific word. But I got similar almighty vibes from Dalinar's vision chapters that speak to him. I was also thinking this week, Spook's gonna be mad, and I mean jealous of Elend becoming a Mistborn.
Yeah, pretty much. Or yeah, I suppose I don't think his journey to self-actualization is near.
Yeah.
At the moment. Yeah, I can see him still being bitter about Elend getting everything. He got the girl, he got the power, and then he got the real power as well. He's king or emperor. So yeah, do you anticipate a Spook turn?
It's possible. It is possible.
Yeah. It hasn't happened yet, but it's possible. Yeah.
Or he'll be tempted or something. We are also unconfirmed on the Atium.
Yeah. Where it went, what it was used for.
Yep. If they found any in those caverns. Those are my leftovers notes. I want to take a moment to discuss formatting and future episodes for The Hero of Ages. It is a shorter book than Well of Ascension, I believe, at least in my edition, but it has like 20 extra chapters. So I went to the Discord and I asked for a list of blind recommendations and a list of which chapters have the shortest word count. And the wonderful community members in the Discord, thank you all so much, gave me that list, or made that list for me. So I have a bunch of index cards in my book. For future chapisodes, we will likely be doubling up on some chapters if they are short. If a short chapter comes after a long chapter, the short chapter will be a blind. If a short chapter comes before a long chapter, we will probably read both chapters. And then there are a handful that are just straight up blind recommendations. So it'll be a little wonky at first, I think, but we'll sort of figure it out as we go. Yeah?
Yeah, I think the audience will be okay. We'll muddle ourselves.
Yes.
The audience is just like, well, what chapters are you guys on? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's gonna be confused the most.
Probably.
I feel it. Yeah.
Oh boy. As this is a new book, I want to discuss issues already spoiled, as I have written in my notes. So, Kitte, do you have anything spoiled about this book that you know or do not?
No, I don't know anything, and I like that.
Excellent. For those who are new here, we take the no spoilers rule as seriously as possible, and we ask that you do not post spoilers in the comment section or chat. We thank you tremendously for it, even confirming theories or denying theories. We appreciate your caution. There are areas in the Discord that Kitte and I do not go to if you want to discuss future things with community members. That said, 1.5 things, more specifically, have been spoiled for me. I'm not going to get...
Don't spoil them for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I will say a spook thing has been spoiled for me.
Oh,
And
he does too. Okay.
it's not about that
Okay.
at all.
Good.
I don't think it regards an event, and that's all I will say. And I suspect folks who have read the book might know what that means. One of the other things was something about the epigraphs was revealed to me. It was not who the epigraph author is. I will clarify that. I do not know that. It is not confirmed. Before I saw that thing, I had already made my prediction that Rashek would be the epigraph author in book 3. I will say that when we read chapter 1 tonight, I'm going to change that prediction, and I do not think that that change of prediction was influenced by the comment that I read. So do with that what you will. I genuinely do not know who the epigraph author is outside of my own prediction from tonight. So many more things to get into.
I'm here for it.
Excellent. Can we discuss the preface and our expectations for this book going into it, shall we?
Okay.
First off, I think last book, I might have had a preface that you didn't. Did you have a preface?
I did have a preface, but it should be different to yours because he mentions the cover art and things like that in this. Yeah, he mentions that the cover art is his favorite of the books and all of that stuff.
Nice.
So I think this is edition specific.
Okay. I will say then my 3 big takeaways from the preface were what he says about... I'm probably going to get it slightly off, but I guess he had some sort of dissatisfaction, generally speaking, with the ends of various fantasy books. They hadn't quite got it right in his mind, and so he really wanted an epic ending for this book. And that feeds into my expectation for the book that we are probably going to get a very epic ending.
We've got such a change to the pacing clearly with the amount of chapters.
Yeah.
That's already an indicator that there's something he's done that's different. Yeah. In my preface, he doesn't talk about the story itself. He's just thanking people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In my preface, he spoke about how what he set out to do was squeeze what would take other authors something like 10 books to tell down into 3 books. And that comment stuck out at me because I think he in various ways achieves that, but I also think that you and I have criticized him at times for a certain sort of disjointedness occasionally between various chapters that I think could have been benefited from with more time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we had several chapters like that. And we also had, that just reminded me as well that we had those chapters where we would be like, this was written by itself.
Yeah.
It was written without so much consideration for the ones before and after. They felt out of place.
Yeah. And certainly there are many, I think the Well of Ascension lost a lot of what could have been done with the actual politicking in the first half of the book. And I know part of that was Elend needed to be seen dismissing that so that he could be blindsided. But, Doxson could have been such a bigger character in that realm. What I'm saying is I wouldn't mind a 10-book Mistborn series.
Yeah. You know me, I'm good with long ass series. Keep them coming. I want to be reading them my whole life.
Yeah. The third takeaway I got from the preface was him talking about how difficult Sazed's arc was to write in this book.
Oh.
And considering I have locked in iron not stone, which can't be
Mhm.
trusted, but iron. My Sazed is the hero of ages prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that comment from Sanderson is in line with that prediction.
Okay.
Do you have any?
What did he say about it being difficult? Like, what does he say? Did he just say, "Oh, it was difficult writing his arc"? There's not much more to say.
At the same time, there was a certain momentum to writing the hero of ages. Book 2 was the biggest overall struggle of the three, even if Sazed's arc in this book was the biggest individual struggle of the series, is what he wrote.
Okay.
So, that said, I have a handful of expectations and quasi-predictions for this book. I expect an epic ending, since that was his specific stated goal for the book. I am expecting a large Khandra presence in this book.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I'll get into why that is, I think, a little bit later into our reading. But the short of it is it all comes down to Tensoon saying, "You are of ruin after all, and the Khandra are of preservation." And, and if there's a ruin being, the deepness, there will be a preservation being as well, is a prediction. Quasi.
I hope so. I hope so. We need that.
And no, folks, we're still not reading it yet. We'll get there. We have to discuss the maps and the part titles. Unless you have any other expectations, Kitty.
Nope.
Okay. So we get the final Empire initial map with Luthadel, the Pits of Hathsin, Urtio, Fadrix City. I didn't look close enough to determine if there were any differences between this one and the previous book. And the same with the overall world map. But the big ones that did stick out to me were Urtio and Fadrix City. The fact that we get these at all suggests to me that we'll probably be spending some time in those cities, yeah?
Yeah.
And
we're going to have something with an aqueduct.
Yeah. And there are several cantons listed in these. The Canton of Inquisition, the Canton of Orthodoxy, and the Canton of Resource. Naturally, we're going to have some Inquisitor stuff.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was actually a leftover thing from the last book as well. I'm very curious where allegiance lines lie, because I had presumed that the Inquisitors were made to maintain knowledge, the true knowledge that Quan had written. Why else would their home base have that writing there in metal? I assume Reshek was making them memorize it. But as we learn in this prologue chapter that I think we're going to get to, shoot, I should have just started the chapter. They don't seem to be in favor of Quan's side. Let's get into
their allegiances. Yeah, let's just get into it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Prologue. Marsh struggled to kill himself. What an opening line.
Yeah. It was like, okay, yes, okay, Marsh. So within that one sentence, I was like, oh yeah, Marsh is still alive. We knew this. But it's like, okay, what moment is this? Is he like on the floor? You know, where we last saw him? Where is this? So yeah, very big thing, and he's trying to kill himself. So it's like, okay, is it because now this is just one sentence, okay? So don't go forward. But and it's also, is it because he's so distraught with what he was tried to do to Sazed? What's happened? All of that in one sentence. What a sentence!
Yeah, and I think it really sets the tone for what this book might end up being.
Dark.
Very dark. Oh man, this prologue was dark and scary and gory.
I hated it and loved it.
His hand trembled as he tried to summon the strength to make himself reach up and pull the spike from his back and end his monstrous life. He had given up on trying to break free. 3 years. 3 years as an inquisitor. 3 years imprisoned in his own thoughts. Those years had proven that there was no escape, even now his mind clouded.
Wow. Okay. I was a bit taken aback by how how affected he has been. Like I didn't think he was this far gone. I know he's much further gone now in the book,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess the last time we saw him before that, when he was with Sarzet and all of that, I felt, yeah, he's depressed and he's in a weird space, but I was not thinking of him being imprisoned in his own thoughts and that sort of thing. I guess we didn't have enough insight into what it was like to be Marsh.
Right. And I wondered if some of this was exacerbated by the release of the Ruin Beast.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think so.
That did have me wondering, though. When Marsh took Sazed to the conventicle of Saren and then conspicuously, left Sazed alone, was that Marsh being controlled? And was the entire purpose of that venture to get him to copy down that sheet? I don't necessarily think it was, because the sheet did, for all of the changes made to it, all it did was serve to make Sazed not want Vin to do what she did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Does he... My question is, was there some sort of taking over of Marsh at the conventicle?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it happened. But he's talking about 3 years, it being since he became an Inquisitor. So once he became an Inquisitor, I'm thinking that being an Inquisitor does make you vulnerable to some sort of control, I suppose, in the same way, you know, you can, the Kolos are controlled, maybe, that sort of thing.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
So they're
like Duralumin.
So maybe it's something like that.
Can you Duralumin an Inquisitor?
I don't know. Yeah, like take him over. This entity thing seems to, as we'll learn a bit more, seems to be able to take over. I was wondering. Obviously, the Lord Ruler was not able to do that because he couldn't stop Marsh at the end of the first book. And yeah, I don't know. There's some mind control thing of the Inquisitors, because he's speaking about being trapped in his mind.
Yeah.
I suppose, I don't know, just being trapped in your body, in a strange body, an altered body, is the same thing as being trapped in your mind, because all you have that's remaining of who you were is just a mind, and the rest is this strange alien body that tires quickly. And yeah, I don't know. The Inquisitors are a rich mystery to me.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get to know a lot more about them in this book.
And they're way more disturbing than they even were before.
Yep.
So thanks.
I've mentioned it several times now on this channel, but Order of the Stick is a wonderful webcomic, and there's a story arc that involves a vampire, and the way it works in that world is you sort of get stuck in your own mind while this dark essence energy creature controls you, and you kind of watch through its eyes. It's scary and great.
Well, yeah, we have something like that here, but the thing is, you don't really watch. It alters you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah. Even now, his mind clouded, and then it took control. The world seemed to vibrate around him. Then suddenly he could see clearly. Why had he struggled? Why had he worried? All was as it should be. Ooh.
So he has these moments. So he exists in this foggy consciousness, and then things become clear once he's been controlled or taken over by this it thing. That's only when it becomes clear, and it's kind of like emotional animancy. It sounds like very powerful emotional animancy, where it's like it gives him a whole new perspective. It's like, oh, I'm all good. I'm fine. Everything's clear and great.
Yeah. He stepped forward, though he could no longer see as normal men did. After all, he had large steel spikes driven point first through his eyes. He could sense the room around him. The spikes protruded from the back of his skull. If he reached up to touch it, he could feel the sharp tips. There was no blood. The spikes gave him power. Everything was traced in fine blue allomantic lines, highlighting the world. The room was of a modest size, and several companions, also outlined in blue, the allomantic lines pointing at the metals contained in their very blood, stood with Marsh. Each one had spikes through their eyes.
That was so ominous. Just like there's so many of them.
Yeah, that, and he's with the other Inquisitors now, and the Marsh you and I know would never do that.
Yep. He's there with the other Inquisitors. Also, obviously, some time has passed because he left. This is way after. He left the room after the Sarzed thing. So, we've got a time skip here, and he's with companions.
Each one had spikes through their eyes, except for the man tied to the table in front of him. Marsh smiled, Marsh smiled. So different than Kelsier smiled.
Yeah, it's the twisting of the smile and just the little flash of this person tied to the table creeped me. I was like, no, oh my god. Okay, and they're making more.
Or something. Marsh smiled, taking a spike off the table beside him, then hefting it. His prisoner wore no gag. That would have stopped the screams.
So dark, sorry. Like, what? We want them screaming. No, Marsh. Oh my god, it's so...
Yeah, this really, really sets a much darker tone than the previous two books had.
Yep.
Please, the prisoner whispered, trembling. Even a terrace steward would break down when confronted by his own violent death. The man struggled weakly. He was in quite an awkward position, as he had been tied to the table on top of another person. The table had been designed that way, with depressions to allow for the body underneath. Now that seemed weird to me.
What, you weird? That's disturbing.
It's very disturbing. That's perhaps the better word for it.
Like, okay, so the body underneath. I think that there is a dead person underneath him, okay? And you need the live person on top of the dead person. I thought that's just a torture thing as well, because it's like, okay, here you're on top of your friend who just died. Okay, so it's a psychological craziness, but going further on, this is part of the ritual.
Yeah.
So somebody has to be dead, and like I feel like the person underneath has to be dead in a certain way, and you are on top of them. So gruesome.
I wondered if the one beneath him was alive, and they're doing some weird create a monstrosity type thing.
Yeah, but we don't hear from that person. We don't hear
That's true.
Any muffledness. It's referred to as a body, but who knows?
Yeah. What is it you want? The terraceman asked. I can tell you no more about the synod.
Okay, so there, yeah.
It's a terraceman.
Yeah, it's a terraceman, definitely. But, so I'm thinking, okay, they're torturing him in a very, very horrible way to get information. That's where I'm at this point. And, yeah, okay, about the synod, what could they want to know? I mean, and if they wanted to know stuff, why they kill everybody? They kill everybody. It seems like they wanted to exterminate all terracemen. And that also, just if we're thinking about exterminating all terracemen, that might be that they might be the answer to it all, the key to everything.
I agree. I mean, one, that begs the question, what does the synod know? Or what do the terracemen know? And as you said, could the terracemen be the key to everything? So it's incumbent upon the ruin beast to destroy them.
Yeah, for me, it's not what they could know, because we already know that they have faulty knowledge now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not so much what they know, but what they could do. What they're capable of. So getting rid of ferrochemy is essentially what I'm talking about.
Of course. Marsh fingered the brass spike, feeling its tip. There was work to do. But he hesitated, relishing the pain and terror in the man's voice. Hesitated so that he could. Marsh grabbed command of his own mind. The room's scents lost their sweetness and instead reeked with the stench of blood and death. His joy turned to horror. And at this point, I'm thinking, yes, fight it, Marsh, fight it.
Yes, I want this. Yeah, come back to us.
And it'll be so interesting To see him either as a recurring villain or to see him shrug it off and then not be trusted by the heroes. Either way.
Yeah. Oh, look what's happened to him. Look what they did.
His prisoner was a keeper of Terrace, a man who had worked his entire life for the good of others. Killing him would be not only a crime, but a tragedy. Marsh tried to force his arm up and around to grab the linchpin spike from his back. Its removal would kill him. However, it was too strong. What's up?
I'm wondering, is that how Marsh eventually ends in this book?
Unaliving?
He finally is able to, he's finally able to take out the linchpin, essentially himself. It's something he could do himself. I would be happy for that to be his end. That is a way for him to take control over this. There's no living, really. It's actually winning is taking that out.
Yeah.
But I'm hope so that's what I'm saying. Expectations for the book. I hope that at least Marsh can find peace by dying.
Same. However, it was too strong. The Force. Somehow it had control over Marsh, and it needed him and the other Inquisitors to be its hands. It was free. Marsh could still feel it, exulting in that. But something kept it from affecting the world too much by itself. An opposition. A force that lay over the land like a shield.
Yay!
Yay! Now, we haven't gotten the word ruin yet, so I couldn't make certain connections, but my mind did go to the mist at this point. I wonder if...
The mist being a shield?
Yeah, now I didn't hold on to that immediately, because the mist goes around killing people. But when we do get to the word ruin and my many notes on it, I do think it could possibly hold some water.
Okay.
But there's a force. Yay.
We have something good at least going on.
It was not yet complete. It needed more. Something else. Something hidden. What do you think it could be? What else could be hidden?
I'm not sure. Some other well that needs to be unplugged or something.
Oh gosh, maybe it's on the other polar ice cap that we learned about.
Yeah.
Marsh would find that something and bring it to his master. The master that Vin had freed. The entity that had been imprisoned within the Well of Ascension. It called itself Ruin. And, Ruin! So...
Of Ruin.
Yep.
Very, very good catch.
My very first thought went to Tensoon, and you are of ruin after all, and the Khandra are of preservation, which begs the question, what do the Khandra know?
Or what can they do?
Yeah, and hence my expectation that the Khandra will play a large role in this book. The Khandra are related to mist wraiths and have certain misty elements about them, which feeds into maybe the mist is that protective layer. It is from this I got, well, if there's a ruin being, there could be a preservation being. But this isn't the only place we've heard of ruin. We heard ruin in Dalinar's vision. Yeah?
A ruin with a capital R?
I believe so.
Okay, I don't know. I'm
remind me. I went back and reviewed a bunch of stuff, and I should have double-checked this chapter as well, but the note that I wrote was Way of Kings, Ruin, Midnight Essence, Black Smoke. So I'm pretty sure my recollection is that the Radiant told Dalinar that the beasts that Dalinar fought, she called it Midnight Essence, and my recollection of it was that when they destroyed the beasts or killed it, it didn't bleed, it evaporated from black smoke eked out. And then let us remind ourselves that when Vin was going into the cavern, there wasn't mist, there was black smoke. So
yeah, I'm seeing that. I searched the thing for Ruin, the book for Ruin.
Okay.
And I'm only getting ruined and futile, things like that. I'm not getting the actual ruin. But
What chapter was the Dalinar chapter?
it's literally every occurrence of the word ruin in the book. So I don't know where the
Look, I know for a fact we made a big deal out of seeing ruin in Way of Kings because of what Tensoon had said in his chapter.
yeah, I'm disputing the capital R. That's all.
Okay.
Because I remember you making the connection between masculinity and the and breaking things. Okay, and then yeah, because I'm looking in the book and I can't find ruin as the name. The name ruin. Either way, I think there is this connection. When I thought of these things, I'm like, oh, I mean, these things have names. The what do you call it? Not the Thunderclasts. What are they called? The Void Bringers. They have names. They're like demons, right? This gives me Voidbringer vibes, and this Voidbringer's name is Ruin.
Oh.
And I remember the first thing we did when we saw what do you call it, shard blades. We were like, they come from mist, you know.
Yeah,
remember that whole thing?
yeah.
So yeah.
So I found the passage, the desolation, he said. That means the Voidbringers, right? Those are what we fought this night. The knight sniffed dismissively. Voidbringers, these? No, this was Midnight Essence. Though who released it is still a mystery. So I suppose slightly misremembering, but specifically it was the black smoke of those beasts. I'm just Charlie.
Well, either way, yeah, it doesn't have to be a specific. I don't think it needs to be the name ruin or the word ruin. I think the ideas already connect powerfully.
Right. So then I spent a lot of time thinking about a ruin beast and a preservation beast. I wrote, Sazed is a keeper. The role of a keeper is to preserve knowledge. So it could be that he is an avatar of preservation, and thus the hero of ages, kind of a link there. The other Way of Kings connection thought that I had, again building on this ruin preservation thing, is the conversation that Shallan and Kabsal had. And I'll read a couple of quick segments from it. Who made them? I mean, the Almighty wasn't likely to have created something from hate, so what made them? Everything has its opposite, Shallan. The Almighty is a force of good. To balance his goodness, the Cosmere needed the Voidbringers as his opposite. And then down that conversation a little bit. Suffice it to say that the Almighty's pure goodness created the Voidbringers, but men may choose good without creating evil, because as mortals they have a dual nature. Thus, the only way for good to increase in the Cosmere is for men to create it. In that way, good may come to outweigh evil. That seems very poignant for previous books' themes and this ruin preservation idea that I'm building.
Yeah.
I wrote one of my notes, or two of my notes, that for some reason I don't remember why I put them, was strange metal sheet for Inquisitors and Sazed the Good Tyrant. Why would I oh, yeah. I wondered, I'm not prepared to put it as a prediction, but I imagined a situation in which Sazed imprisons the beast again and essentially does what Reshek did, but he rules well instead of how Reshek ruled. So
it's a possibility, a solution, a possible solution. But I think I'm with you on the earlier assumption that you made, or assertion that you made, where it was like the better thing to do would be have this thing free and destroy it, rather than just temporarily keep it at bay.
Yeah. I have one more note for this particular prologue. Let's finish it first, though. It called itself Ruin. Marsh smiled as his prisoner began to cry, then he stepped forward, raising the spike in his hand. He placed it against the whimpering man's chest. The spike would need to pierce the man's body, passing through the heart, then be driven into the body of the Inquisitor tied below. Hemalurgy was a messy art. That was why it was so much fun. Marsh picked up a mallet and began to pound.
So bad.
My note is hemalurgy is dark AF.
Yes, hemalurgy, as in it's a blood magic.
Yeah.
I suppose. And there is an Inquisitor underneath. So are we making super Inquisitors? We're giving them ferrochemy somehow by planting a person on them, a terraceman on them. Yeah, so we're making super ones.
That's very
Seriously.
not good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so... Or is this how we make Inquisitors? I think this is how we make super Inquisitors.
I think that might be the thing.
And okay, just another... before you get to your notes, one of the things that this brought back to me was that other Inquisitor that we experienced in book 1 that was very happy and took a lot of joy in blood and things like that, and we thought he was just especially evil.
Yeah.
But it seems like this is an Inquisitor thing. Marsh was just taking longer to get into his Inquisitor mindset, I suppose, because that guy really did enjoy the pain of things around him and of his own pain even.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how much of this, okay, this state of mind and this control stuff, how much of that was happening before Vin released this dude, Ruin. Yeah.
Very, very concerning. Because the Inquisitor Marsh, I remember having defeated the Lord Ruler, or helped. Well, that could be partly in service to Ruin, because clearly Rashek and Ruin didn't get along. But at the same time, Marsh still felt a little bit Marsh in those last 2 chapters of book 1.
Yeah.
It occurs to me, by the way, we didn't talk about the part titles. Do you want to go ahead and do that now before we start chapter 1?
Yeah. I haven't seen the part titles, so please tell me. We've got
so I'm looking
The Legacy of the Survivor is part 1.
Yep. And considering how Kelsier-like Elend is in that first chapter, I think it's off to a fair start for that title. And I suspect that'll be us catching up with Luthadel and the crew. Yeah?
Yeah, well, whatever has happened in Luthadel and the crew. But just thinking of the way that we ended book 1 with we'll do as Kelsier. Because remember, I was like, wow, he mentions Kelsier here. He mentions, we'll do as Kelsier taught us, we'll survive. So that's the nice bow that we get at the end there. And then we have the Legacy of the Survivor straight afterwards in the next book. Really works nicely. It rhymes nicely.
Yeah.
Then we've got part 2, Cloth and Glass.
Well, neither of those are metals, is something that I have observed.
Yeah.
Glass can shatter, cloth can be cloth.
Cloth can conceal.
Mm-hmm.
Cloth can absorb. On the cover art, there seem to be some sort of shards. There seems to be some sort of thing like that. Yeah, I don't know. Cloth and glass. Interesting.
The broken skies. I think of the red sun.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the skies are broken already. But are we re-breaking them? Good lord. Or are we figuring? Yeah, I don't know. What happens if our skies are broken? We have no hope.
Yeah,
we're not. The sky's the limit. Well, we don't even look up. I suppose if there's broken skies.
Beautiful destroyer.
Interesting. Is that Vin?
Oh,
She's a beautiful destroyer.
It could be, or it could be that something It could be Ruin tries to seduce everyone against whatever goodness is in the world.
Yeah.
You know, Lucifer is supposed to be pretty, right?
Yeah.
Trust. As far as like bows on a story, trust seems like a fittingly appropriate place to end Vin's story.
Yeah, it is. It's the main thing that she got from Calcia, remember? So it's very important.
Yeah. Chapter 1 then, shall we? Part 1, Legacy of the Survivor. Chapter 1. I am, unfortunately, the hero of ages.
Okay.
So I did say I was going to change my epigraph prediction now. The very first thing I thought when I read that was, unfortunately is not a Reshek word. Reshek, I don't think, would find that situation to be unfortunate. That doesn't quite capture what it was I was trying to communicate when I said it. I think there was more of an earnestness that I had read into it, and ultimately that more earnest take on it, obviously, by process of elimination, who I actually think is the hero of ages, is Sazed. Sazed is someone who might look at that, find he's the hero of ages, and say, well, that's unfortunate.
So this could be a retroactively written book by Sazed.
That's my current prediction now, yes.
Okay. I have no predictions either way. Mine was, okay, cool, thanks for that. There's not much I can say with any really significant degree of certainty. So it's just like, thanks. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I'm okay to just use your prediction.
Excellent. Fatrin squinted up at the red sun, which hid behind its perpetual screen of dark haze. Black ash fell lightly from the sky, as it did most days. The thick flakes fell straight, the air stagnant and hot, without a hint of a breeze to lighten Fatrin's mood. He sighed, leaning back against the earthen bulwark, looking over Vetitan, his town. So we get a new POV.
Yeah, we do. We get a new character. Don't know how long he will
Stick
be
around.
part of it, because these early chapters, we don't know. They're just POV characters. But I wouldn't mind him continuing. He seems like a good enough guy.
Yeah? How long? He asked. Druffle scratched his nose. His face was stained black with ash. He hadn't given much thought to hygiene lately. Of course, considering the stress of the last few months, Fatrin knew that he himself wasn't much to look at either. An hour, maybe, Druffle said, spitting into the dirt of the bulwark. Fatrin sighed, staring up at the falling ash. Do you think it's true, Druffle? What people are saying? What? Druffle asked. That the world is ending? Fatrin nodded.
The world. So we've got rumors, I suppose. Well, not rumors. We've got a sort of status report going on through this POV.
Yeah, what the normies
These guys,
think.
it's like, oh, the world. Yeah, the normies think we want to know what's going on for them. So they've got a bulwark going on. Okay, the world is ending. I suppose mists and things would be affecting them. Yeah, I don't know how much they know about what we've been through in Luthadel and all of that. But this is kind of this is what's going on for everyone else in villages and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how any news really makes its way. Any specific news. Everything would probably be vague that comes across.
Yeah. Do you think it's true, Druffle? What people are saying? What? That the world is ending? Fatrin nodded. Don't know. Don't really care. How can you say that? Druffle shrugged, scratching himself. Soon as these Kolos arrive, I'll be dead. It's pretty much the end of the world for me.
Yeah, I mean, why worry? Why must I worry about what's really going on? It's like, listen, the Kolos are coming, so I don't really have time for this. Or I don't have energy for this.
Yep.
it's resignation.
Yep. And already we're back at the beginning of book 2. Kolos army are coming.
Yep, here we go.
Well, not quite the beginning of book 2, but point being, it's similar situation. An army is coming. Fatrin fell silent. He didn't like to voice his doubts. He was supposed to be the strong one. When the lords had left the town, a farming community slightly more urban than a northern plantation, Fatrin had been the one who had convinced the Ska to go ahead with their planting. Fatrin had been the one to keep the press gangs away. In a time when most villages and plantations had lost every able-bodied man to one army or another, Vedetan still had a working population. It had cost much of their crops and bribes, but Fatrin had kept the people safe. Mostly. This is a tough guy and a natural leader.
Yeah, great guy. He's kept things together. This is quite an achievement. We need this kind of guy. Towns need this kind of guy to step up. Because it seems like, but once the lords were gone, it's like, oh, what do we do? Like, they didn't want to plant. It's like, well, actually, you can. You don't need permission for that. So you need such people to kind of, they're natural born rebels as well, because they think differently. So it's good. So it makes you like him, quite endearing, and feel a bit sorry for him, because it's like, he's not feeling pretty good anyway.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Kolos, I was like, okay, so is this, if I'm thinking what's going to happen, okay, they're going to think that it's the Kolos that are going to come and kill them, but actually it's Vin and the Kolos. That's what I was thinking about. That maybe there's a bit of a switcheroo here. Yeah. This was just my initial thought.
The mists didn't leave until noon today, Fatrin said quietly. They're staying later and later. You've seen the crops drop. The autumn planting overwintered poorly, and they're all stunted. Not unlike sunlight, I'd guess. We won't have enough time to make it to the spring planting's harvest. We won't last the summer, Druffle said. Won't last till nightfall. The sad thing, the thing that was really disheartening, was that Druffle had once been the optimist. Fatrin hadn't heard his brother laugh in months. That laughter had been Fatrin's favorite sound. That's sweet and nice character.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet and nice character, giving me Tien and Kaladin flashbacks. If he had lived longer, I suppose.
Even the Lord Ruler's mills weren't able to grind Druff's laughter out of him, Fatrin thought. But these last 2 years have. Fats! A voice called, Fats! Fatrin looked up as a young boy scrambled along the side of the bulwark. They'd barely finished the fortification. It had been Druffle's idea. Before he'd given up hope, their town contained some 7,000 people, which made it fairly large. It had taken a great deal of work to surround the entire thing with a defensive mound. They're doing things right.
Yeah, and it's like, another just note that this was Druffle's idea, but right now he's like, doesn't care. I don't care. Fine, we're gonna die.
Up until Elend comes in and he's like, so this nice wall you've built, that's not going to help you. Fatrin had barely 1,000 soldiers. It had been hard to gather that many from such a small population, with maybe another 1,000 men who were too young, too old, or too unskilled to fight well. He didn't really know how big the Kolos army was, but it was bound to be larger than 2,000, so a bulwark was going to be of very little use. The boy, Sev, puffed up to Fatrin. Fats! Someone's coming! Already? Fatrin asked. Druff said the Kolos were still a while away. Not a Kolos, Fats, the boy said. A man! Come see! So I heard a man, and I did not immediately think Elend, which is funny, I think how I worded that, but I was very curious who it would be.
I was thinking it could be Sazed. I didn't think Breeze. But I did think eventually at some, I suppose they don't mention a small person, so, but I did think it could be Vin. Who knows? We don't know. Because, they don't say he looks like this or anything like this. So I was just like, okay, who is this? Nice little trail to follow.
Yeah. Fatrin turned to Druff, who wiped his nose and shrugged. They followed Sev around the inside of the bulwark toward the front gate. Ash and dust swirled on the packed earth, piling in corners, drifting. There hadn't been much time for cleaning lately. The women had to work the fields while the men trained and made war preparations.
Everybody does their part.
Yup. War preparations. Fatrin told himself that he had a force of 2,000 soldiers, but what he really had were 1,000 Ska peasants with swords. They'd had 2 years of training, true, but they had little real fighting experience. A group of men clustered around the front gates, standing on the bulwark or leaning against its side. Maybe I was wrong to spend so much of our resources training soldiers, Fatrin thought. If those 1,000 men had worked the mines instead, we'd have some ore for bribes. Except Kolos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he's just wondering. You know, maybe this isn't a good idea. It's normal nerves. You second guess yourself.
Yeah, and it's fine to run through your options, but bribes aren't going to work in the long run, I think. They'll always come back for more. They'll up the interest rates, etc.
Yep. Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Except Kolos didn't take bribes. They just killed. Fatrin shuddered.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That was in...
Someone tried to try in the last book.
That is true. That is true. They didn't even need real coins. But the thing is, if you gave them coins, they still wanted to be humans and whatever. That would still be a problem. So it's good.
Yeah. Although at this point, I'm wondering to myself, are these the same Kolos that Vin had control of, or are they different Kolos? And
yeah,
I was inclined to think different Kolos.
Yeah, I was wondering whether they were. I was not thinking either or. I needed more information.
Yeah.
I was hoping for their sake that it is just Vin with Kolos, or there is, I was hoping for that. But it very much makes sense that there's just roving bands of Kolos out there.
Yeah. Except Kolos didn't take bribes. They just killed. Fatrin shuddered, thinking of Garthwood. That city had been bigger than his own, but fewer than 100 survivors had made their way to Vedatan. That had been 3 months ago. He'd hoped that the Kolos would be satisfied with destroying that city. He should have known better. Kolos were never satisfied. Yeah?
Yeah, that works. Exactly why bribing them, I don't think is not sustainable either.
Fatrin climbed to the top of the bulwark, and soldiers in patched clothing and bits of leather made way for him. He peered through the falling ash across a dark landscape that had looked as if it were blanketed in deep black snow. A lone rider approached wearing a dark hooded cloak.
So yeah, that at this point with the dark hooded cloak, I was like, it could be Vin. Who knows? The person was far enough. It's a rider far away, so you don't know. Needed more information, but there was no mention of this smaller body kind of thing, which is usually what people notice about Vin. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. What do you think, Fats? One of the soldiers asked. Kolos scout? Fatrin snorted. Kolos wouldn't send a scout, especially not a human one. He has a horse, Druffle said with a grunt. We could use another of those. The city had only 5. All were suffering from malnutrition.
Oh, poor horsies.
Yeah. Merchant! One of the soldiers said. No wares, Fatrin said, and it would take a brave merchant to travel these parts alone. I've never seen a refugee with a horse, one of the men said. He raised a bow, looking at Fatrin. Fatrin shook his head. Nobody loosed as the stranger rode up, moving at an unhurried pace. He stopped. Well, that right there should have been the tip-off that it was Elend. Unhurried. Leisurely. Honeymoon pace. While he goes to save people. He stopped his mount directly before the city gates. Fatrin was proud of those. True wooden gates mounted in the earthen bulwark. He'd gotten both wood and fine stone from the Lord's Manor at the city center.
A good thing again. Fatrin, you've done well. Be proud of that.
Yeah. Little of the stranger was visible beneath the thick dark cloak he wore to protect himself from the ash. Fatrin studied the stranger over the top of the bulwark, and then he glanced at his brother, shrugging. The ash fell silently. The stranger leapt from his horse. He shot straight upward as if propelled from beneath cloak whipping free as he soared. Underneath it, he wore a uniform of brilliant white. And there you know who it is.
Very dramatic entry, and I don't think it's bad at all that you need to do this sort of theatrics.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Make them go, wow, this guy's amazing, or don't mess with this guy.
Yeah, and one of my big notes for the chapter is Elend acts very Kelsier-like this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But not too flippant. Okay,
No.
so he's Kelsier-like in confidence, but he's not flippant and witty and whatever. He's very serious.
Yes. Fatrin cursed, jumping backward as the stranger crested the bulwark and landed atop the wooden gate. The man was an Alamancer, a nobleman. Fatrin had hoped those would all stick to their squabbles in the north and leave his people in peace, or at least their peaceful deaths. That was a sad line.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, my brother's not an optimist anymore. It's like, yeah, neither are you. But I can understand it.
The newcomer turned. He wore a short beard and had his dark hair shorn close. "All right, men," he said, striding across the top of the gate with an unnatural sense of balance. "We don't have much time. Let's get to work." He stepped off the gate onto the bulwark. Immediately, Druffle pulled his sword on the newcomer. "Yeah, you're a bit presumptuous there, Elend."
But he has to be. Come on, it's all theatrics. He's got to challenge them. He was also seeing what kind of men they are.
Yeah.
What kind of state they're in.
Yeah.
Are they going to challenge me or not? And yeah, also just the beard. Let's go, boy.
Yeah.
I don't remember him having one. So
That
I'm like, okay, it's also giving us a sense of time, although beards do grow quite fast for men, or some men. So yeah.
But there's a certain
either way,
less
I'm
noble,
interested in-
more relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
confident quality to it. There's also so much of Tindwyl in him in this chapter, I think.
Just with that kind of confidence, yes. The ordering people around and expecting to be listened to.
Yeah. The sword jerked from Druffle's hand, yanked into the air by an unseen force. The stranger snatched the weapon as it passed his head. He flipped the sword around, inspecting it. "Good steel," he said, nodding. "I'm impressed. How many of your soldiers are this well equipped?" He flipped the weapon in his hand, handing it back toward Druffle, hilt first. "Power play. Power move."
Mm-hmm.
Druffle glanced at Fatrin, confused. "Who are you, stranger?" Fatrin demanded with as much courage as he could muster. He didn't know a lot about Allomancy, but he was pretty certain this man was Mistborn. The stranger could probably kill everyone atop the bulwark with barely a thought.
Okay. Relax, okay? Yeah, like barely a thought. There would be a little bit of effort into it at least, but I know what he...
The normies don't know much
exaggeration...
about Allomancy.
Yeah, they don't know how much goes into it all, but yeah, sure, he could just kill you with a thought. Just barely a thought, without even exerting himself. But yeah, also, this is now... We're looking at this and like, how trained is Elend? He seems quite comfortable in his new Elementic.
Yes,
era.
Great point. And I think we are essentially 1 year out from the end of the last book, yeah?
Sure, that's a long time for these people to survive.
Very much so, especially with a released ruin causing chaos. But yeah, in the prologue, Marsh said he had been for 3 years, and I think last book was the 2-year mark.
With the oh yeah, that's true. But with the mists in terms of this city, they're talking about the mists are coming around until 12 or something, or sticking around until noon. So it seems like the way it was in Luthadel on the day of that release, that's Luthadel. It wasn't like that everywhere, because if these people are still alive, it clearly it's spreading instead of it taking over the whole world immediately.
The stranger ignored the question, turning to scan the city. "This bulwark goes around the entire perimeter of the city?" he asked, turning toward one of the soldiers. Yes, my lord," the man said. "How many gates are there?" "Just the one, my lord." "Open the gate and bring my horse in," the newcomer said. "I assume you have stables?" "Yes, my lord," the soldier said. "Well, Fatrin thought, with dissatisfaction as the soldier ran off. This newcomer certainly knows how to command people. Yeah, I felt a little bad. You feel bad for Fatrin in this chapter. This guy just comes and totally usurps his...
Yeah, from Fatrin's point of view, there's no allomancy being used here to make it easier. So he doesn't know that, or he hasn't considered it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been working really hard, and it's like, yeah, I've built up all this stuff, and you come in and take it. But the thing is, you need this guy's help, so that makes it understandable by the end.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Mm-hmm.
Fatrin's soldier didn't pause to think that he was obeying a stranger without asking for permission. Fatrin could already see the other soldiers straightening a bit, losing their wariness. This newcomer talked like he expected to be obeyed, and the soldiers were responding. This wasn't a nobleman like the ones Fatrin had known when he was a household servant at the Lord's manor. This man was different. The stranger continued his contemplation of the city. Ash fell on his beautiful white uniform, and Fatrin thought it a shame to see the garment being dirtied. The newcomer nodded to himself, then began to walk down the side of the bulwark. "Wait," Fatrin said, causing the stranger to pause. "Who are you?" The newcomer turned, meeting Fatrin's eyes. "My name is Ellen Venture. I'm your emperor." Epic?
Woo! Very epic, and it is. Yeah, I'm getting used to this kind of sort of arrogant, not arrogant. Just I know he's confident. This was his journey. I'm good, but the epic Elend, epic, powerful with allomancy Elend, I'm getting used to.
Yeah,
and yeah, it is. There is a big deal with him saying emperor.
Yeah. This brings the question, what has he been doing in this last year? Has he been in the Venture homeland, emperoring it up there? Has he been in Luthadel? Or is he just like going around, fighting Rogue Kolos? How much of a hands-on approach is he taking to being the tyrant that he seems to be fine being now?
Yeah, I suppose it's also in terms of his journey. Okay, listen, he's not. He's a good tyrant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's okay with taking control. He knows now that he can't do it all differently. I do wonder if his journey is also into just turning and being corrupted by all that he has to do. I don't want him to be.
Yeah. I don't know if unsettling is the right word with regard to Ellen's journey in the last book and where it ended and where it so clearly is here in this first chapter. As much as I love Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin is very much against feudalism. And that's very present in his writing and in the world in the books. His distaste for feudalism and lords and kings and so on and so forth. So for Ellen's journey, which so much about it is good, he gains confidence and so on and so forth. He starts in this optimistic place and he has what we would consider to be good values in terms of rights for everyone, leaders beholden to the people, that kind of thing, elected by the people. And for him to turn his back on that, and in this chapter at one point he says something like, maybe one day in the future, but not today. And I think there's some merit to that argument that they are, in times of war, elect a dictator a la Rome. Not really. Caesar had problems, but a strong leading figure is necessary in times of crises. And clearly there is a crisis here. Where am I going with this? I've lost my track. I think what I'm trying to say is him becoming okay with being a tyrant, it feels like more of a negative thing than a positive thing, I think is what I'm going toward. What do you think?
I can see it going towards a negative thing, but his journey in the previous book was about realizing that you can't always do the best thing. You actually in terms of you can't always do the most fair thing or anything like that. Sometimes you actually make choices for other people, and he's landed on that oh, you can't always leave it up to the people. You can't always do that. So he's gone through that journey, and I think it was necessary because he could not just sit and make a committee for every single decision. And he's got to trust in himself. So that was a positive journey, but I can see it going beyond in this book, where he gets too used to the power, too used to being unchallenged, and just not getting, being corrupted by power. I feel like that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Along with all of the trauma and the difficulty he's gone through in the past few years, it makes sense that's a possibility.
Yeah. With that, the man turned and continued down the embankment. The soldiers made way for him, then many of them followed behind. Fatrin glanced at his brother. Emperor, Druffle muttered, then spat. Fatrin agreed with the sentiment. What to do? He'd never fought an Allomancer before.
Just in terms of the Emperor and spitting to the side, it reminded me of the Monty Python thing where it's just like, I didn't vote for you. that whole thing in the mud where it's like, I didn't vote for you. We don't have I wasn't voted for. We don't vote for kings. That whole Monty Python skit. So just insert that here, guys.
Emperor, Druffle muttered, then spat. Fatrin agreed with the sentiment. What to do? He'd never fought an Allomancer before. He wasn't certain how to begin. The Emperor had certainly disarmed Druffle easily enough. Organize the people of the city, the stranger, Elend Venture, said from ahead. The Kolos will come from the north. They'll ignore the gate, climbing over the bulwark. I want the children and the elderly concentrated in the southernmost part of the city. Pack them together in as few buildings as possible. What good will that do? Fatrin demanded. He hurried after the Emperor. He didn't really see any other option. The Kolos are most dangerous when they're in a blood frenzy, Venture said, continuing to walk. If they do take the city, then you want them to spend as long as possible searching for your people. If the Kolos frenzy wears off while they search, they'll grow frustrated and turn to looting. Then your people might be able to sneak away without being chased.
So yeah, also a little bit more of an idea that he's used to this. He's used to the way Kolos operate.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more. This is normal and ordinary for him.
Correct.
Yeah. Also, in terms of just what you were talking about, him being a little unsettling, the way that the way he goes, I want, and that sort of stuff, like I want them here or whatever. I can see him in an earlier phase wording it differently, like we need to put the children over here and the woman and the children over here. You need to, wording it completely differently, but saying I want the thing, that kind of just shows he's gotten into this habit of just, this is what I want. Hello. It was necessary previously, but it's now it's the default immediately. And I understand he's trying to get these people ready quite quickly. I understand that, but it does give you this sense of, okay, is this just hurrying, or is this now
how he is
a bit of a
writ
corrupted
large?
Elend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it was at this point I thought to myself, why can't you just Duralumin their asses, Elend? Is this all for show to make sure that you take control of the city?
That's what I was thinking as well. Like, okay, is this all for show? And then you Duralumin their ass and take control of them and show them, look, I saved you from the Kolos. Like, is that how this goes? Because I was like, I don't think Vin would keep Duralumin from Elend.
Correct.
That's not a thing. So, yeah, is this all elaborate? And in which case, I understand you've got to get the hearts and minds, right? I understand.
But that this would be trickery. Yeah, over the top.
Yeah. This is like outright deceit.
Yeah. So
and manipulation, which is Lord Rulerish, like you can't believe. So I'm not on board with that.
Right. I will say I did wonder if Duralumin might no longer work on the Kolos because Ruin is free. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't see why it's possible, but I don't see why that's necessarily what would have happened.
Yeah.
I would need further explanation of how that mechanism worked.
Yeah.
I suppose it could be related to what we experienced with Marsh. Maybe that is also that sort of control was released, and now it's being used on the Kolos. But then that also means the Contra would be under Ruin's control.
Right. Except they're of
They would need
preservation,
something.
and then therefore maybe
Yeah,
outside
they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But they're related. Their mechanism of control, remember?
Yeah,
The reason that Vin
Duralumin.
thought of that in the first place. Yeah. Well, not Duralumin. Emotional animancy.
But she needed...
Strong emotional animancy. Yeah, she
Yeah.
does need Duralumin, of course. But the thing that she was... The skill she was boosting with Duralumin was emotional animancy to grasp control of their mind.
Venture turned to meet Fatran's eyes. The stranger's expression was grim. It's a slim hope, but it's something. He resumed his pace down the city's main thoroughfare. From behind, Fatran could hear the soldiers whispering. They'd all heard of a man named Elend Venture. He was the one who had seized power in Luthadel after the Lord Ruler's death over 2 years before. News from up north was scarce and unreliable, but most of it mentioned Venture. He had fought off all rivals to the throne, killing his own father. I read that and I was like, is that how that's being told now?
Yeah, it's probably how it's not how it's been, well, it's how it's been told because it broken telephone.
Yeah.
And Vin is just a knife, so it's fine.
Yeah. He'd hidden his nature as a Mistborn and was supposedly married to the very woman who had slain the Lord Ruler. Fatran doubted that such an important man, one who was likely more legend than fact, had made his way to such a humble city in the southern dominance, especially unaccompanied. Even the mines weren't worth much anymore. The stranger had to be lying. Or he's just good and wants to protect these people and bolster his allies.
Bolster his allies. I think he might be after the mines as well. Who knows?
Yeah.
He's just trying to rebuild the nation, so...
Sure. I, at this point, wondered what it would be like to not have read the first 2 books and be like, I wonder how I would interpret this person essentially through Fatran's eyes, like having just gotten that recap.
Yeah. There are summaries for the books at the end of the book. You can go and read the summaries of books 1 and 2. Either way, that's probably not how people would approach this book if they just picked it up.
Yeah, I could not imagine reading the 3rd Lord of the Rings book first.
Yeah.
Why would anyone do that?
It's just they landed up reading it and then they got stuck in.
Yeah.
I think I did that with a series book at some point. I got stuck in at the bookstore, and then I read that one. They didn't have the first one there, so I finished reading the first one, then the second one, then went to the first. But yeah, it's not normal.
But he was obviously an Allomancer. Fatran hurried to keep up with the stranger. Venture, or whoever he was, lingered in front of a large structure near the center of the city, the old offices of the Steel Ministry. Fatran had ordered the doors and windows boarded up. You found the weapons in there? Venture asked, turning toward Fatran. Fatran stood for a moment, then shook his head. From the Lord's mansion. He left weapons behind? Venture asked with surprise. We think he intended to come back for them, Fatran said. The soldiers he left eventually deserted, joining a passing army. They took what they could carry. We scavenged the rest. Venture rubbed his bearded chin as he stared at the old ministry building. It was tall and ominous, despite, or perhaps because of, its disuse. Your men look well trained. I didn't expect that. Do any of them have battle experience? Druffle snorted quietly, indicating that he thought this stranger had no business being so nosy. I like Druffle.
Yeah, I do. He's this nice comic relief on the side there, like this commentary, this expression of what Fatran is thinking.
Yeah. Our men have fought enough to be dangerous, stranger, Fatran said. Some bandits thought to take rule of the city from us. They assumed we were weak and we would be easily cowed. If the stranger saw the words as a threat, he didn't show it. He simply nodded. Have any of you fought Kolos? Fatran shared a look with Druffle. Men who fight Kolos don't live, stranger, he said. If that were true, Venture said, I'd be dead a dozen times over.
Ooh, look at you.
Very intimidating thing, and does suggest he's done this many times.
Quite a while. Yeah.
He turned to face the growing crowd of soldiers and townspeople. I'll teach you what I can about fighting Kolos, but we don't have much time. I want captains and squad leaders organized at the city gate in 10 minutes. Regular soldiers are to form up in ranks along the bulwark. I'll teach the squad leaders and captains a few tricks, and then they can carry the tips to their men. Some of the soldiers moved, but to their credit, most of them stayed where they were.
Just one more note about this Kolos, him having fought Kolos before.
Mm-hmm.
Why then doesn't he have... I think your theory of this control thing not happening anymore holds water, because he's fought them several times. You would think that he has his own army of Kolos. I suppose he mentions armies, so it could still mean that every Kolos army he defeats, he takes control of, and then it becomes part of his army, and he basically builds it up that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that it could be that he can't control them, so he has to defeat all of them. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess Duralumin could be a scarce resource, so it's better to...
Mm-hmm.
So he just might not have as much access as he would like, but
Mm-hmm.
he's the emperor. He should have all the resources of all three kingdoms under his control, in theory. They still have to get Set's land back, and I guess what's-his-face that took over for Straff has his issues.
Yeah, but we also have to try and keep Duralumin secret.
That too.
For as long as possible. Yeah.
That too. Oh, that was going to be another question I had, because obviously they know that they can give Elend the Mistborn making medal. And I had mentioned Spook's going to be mad. Do you think they're going to give that medal out to the surviving crew members?
I don't know if there's enough left.
Yeah.
There was just that one bead. The rest were in broken things. I don't know if that works. I don't know.
Fair point. Do you think there's more? Probably not.
I mean, the important thing would be to give it to Sazed, and then we do have the good tyrant.
Ooh, yes. Some of the soldiers moved, but to their credit, most of them stayed where they were. The newcomer didn't seem offended that his orders weren't obeyed. He stood quietly, staring down the armed crowd. He didn't seem frightened, nor did he seem angry or disapproving. He only seemed regal. "My lord," one of the soldier captains asked, "did you bring an army with you to help us?" "I brought 2, actually," Venture said, "but we don't have time to wait for them." He met Fatron's eyes. "You wrote and asked for my help, and as your liege, I've come to give it. Do you still want it?" Nice little trick there on Elend's part.
Mm-hmm.
I had assumed that one of those 2 armies was himself as Mistborn.
Yeah.
Fatron frowned. He'd never asked this man, or any lord, for help. He opened his mouth to object, but hesitated. He'll let me pretend that I sent for him, Fatron thought. Act like this was part of the plan all along. I could give up rule here without looking like a failure. We're going to die, but looking into this man's eyes, I can almost believe that we have a chance. I didn't expect you to come alone, my lord, Fatron found himself saying. I was surprised to see you. Yes, he's smart enough to play along. Good, Fatron.
Yeah. Yeah, that is... You do need people smart enough, and I don't know if many would be.
Venture nodded. That is understandable. Come, let's talk tactics while your soldiers gather. Very well, Fatron said as he...
Oh, true. Hold up. He said, while your soldiers. See, at least he said your.
Yes. Sorry, did I
say...
No,
you did say your.
Okay, good.
No, you did say your, but I'm saying it's important that Ellen said your.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Instead of the, or my, or our. It's your.
Very well, Fatron said. As he stepped forward, Druffle caught his arm. What are you doing? His brother hissed. You sent for this man? I don't believe it. Gather the soldiers, Druff, Fatron said. Druffle stood for a moment, then swore softly and stalked away. He didn't look like he had any intention of gathering the soldiers, so Fatrin waved for 2 of his captains to do it. Then he joined Venture, and the 2 started back toward the gates. Venture ordering a few soldiers to walk ahead of them and keep people at a distance so that he and Fatrin could speak more privately. Ash continued to fall from the sky, dusting the street black, clustering atop the city's stooped 1-story buildings. And here I thought, good, they're actually going to get to talk without theatrics. Because I was ready for it.
Yeah. Without theatrics, I'm okay with... I think there has been some sort of theatrics removed, but at the same time, Elend is still trying to make an impression on this person.
Yeah.
And probably still allomancing him.
Yeah. Who are you? Fatrin asked quietly. I am who I said, Venture said. I don't believe you. But you trust me, Venture said. No, I merely don't want to argue with an allomancer. That's good enough for now, Venture said. Look, friend.
Sorry. The Venture saidness. I don't believe you, Venture said. He does believe him, actually.
That's good enough for now, Venture said. Look, friend, you have 10,000 Kolos marching on your city. You need whatever help you can get. 10,000, Fatrin thought, feeling stupefied. And from there I wondered if that was the same army that attacked Luthadel, because that's such a large number.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's just
is that the one that's running around?
Yeah. But, I would have thought that Vin might have been able to suitably take care of them with Duralumin, but maybe there are limits to what Duralumin can make them do. Maybe it wouldn't make them fight each other cleanly or something. Or maybe she was just content to say, okay, you guys go walk east and never turn back or something.
Nah, I think that would be a dumb plan on her part.
Yeah. Or maybe the Inquisitors are making more.
Yeah.
You're in charge of this city, I assume? Venture asked. Fatrin shook out of his stupor. Yes, he said. My name is Fatrin. All right, Lord Fatrin, I'm no lord. Well, you just became one. You can choose a surname later. Now, before we continue, you need to know my conditions for helping you. I really liked the "you just became one" line. That's great.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying by there's some theatrics removed, but at the same time, there's still this very quick slaps across the face. Make them, you don't give them time to think, really.
Yeah. What kind of conditions? The non-negotiable kind, Venture said. If we win, you'll swear fealty to me. Fatrin frowned, stopping in the street. Ash fell around him. So that's it? You saunter in before a fight, claiming to be some high lord, so you can take credit for our victory? Why should I swear fealty to a man I only met a few minutes before? Okay, yeah, but look, Fatrin, you're not gonna win without him.
Yeah, but he's still being he's just being some sort of defiant. He's just throwing a bit of a tantrum because he can't just say, okay, he can't.
Because if you don't, Venture said quietly, I'll simply take command anyway. Then he continued to walk. Ooh.
Fair enough. Yeah, you see, just very drop the mic, Calcia kind of thing. When Calcia's focused, determined, this is how he would talk as well.
Yeah. Fatrin stood for a moment, then rushed forward and caught up to Venture. Oh, I see. If we survive this battle, we'll end up ruled by a tyrant. Yes, Venture said. Fatrin frowned. He hadn't expected the man to be so blunt. So, he's already comfortable referring to himself as a tyrant, which means what else is he willing to do? In the name of good.
He understands that that's something he has to bear, actually. He doesn't want to be. This is a sacrifice. Being called a tyrant, doing tyrant things is a sacrifice to him. As it was, I suppose, for Elendi. So, let's see.
Yes, Venture said. Fatrin frowned. He hadn't expected the man to be so blunt. Venture shook his head, regarding the city through the falling ash. I used to think that I could do things differently, and I still believe that someday I'll be able to. But for now, I don't have a choice. I need your soldiers, and I need your city.
Okay, that's good for him to say. That's on a point of we still have the old Ellen somewhere in there. He's saying it out loud. He's not just, we don't have, it's not Ellen thinking this. He's saying it to the guy. It's unnecessary to let this guy know what's going on inside him. But he's like, yeah, I would like to do things differently, but this is how we're going to go now. And him saying, I need your soldiers and I need your city, saying need is good. Like, I want him to be admitting those things instead of I want, which is what he said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I want them over there and whatever. So this, like you said, him being a bit more real in this conversation, that's pretty good. That gives me hope for Ellen holding out longer.
Yeah. My city? Fatrin asked, frowning. Why? Venture held up a finger. We have to survive this battle first, he said. We'll get to other things later. Fatrin was surprised to realize that he did trust the stranger. He's being allomanced. He couldn't have explained why he felt that way. Allomancy! This was simply a man to follow, a leader such as Fatrin had always wanted to be. Aw, I like Fatrin.
Yeah.
Venture didn't wait for Fatrin to agree to the conditions. It wasn't an offer, but an ultimatum. Fatrin hurried to catch up again as Venture entered the small square in front of the city gates. Soldiers bustled about. None of them wore uniforms. Their sole method of distinguishing a captain from a regular soldier was a red band tied around the arm. Venture hadn't given them much time to gather, but then they all knew the city was about to be attacked. They had been gathered anyway. Time is short. I was wondering, how small is this city? But it's really, calling it a city's generous, I guess. I don't know, 7,000 people's a lot to house. Time is short, Venture repeated in a loud voice. I can teach you only a few things, but they will make a difference. Kolos range in size from small ones that are about 5 feet tall to the huge ones, which are about 12 feet tall. Even the little ones are going to be stronger than you. Expect that. Fortunately, the creatures fight without coordination between individuals. If a Kolos' comrade is in trouble, he won't bother to help. They attack directly, without guile, and try to use blunt force to overwhelm. Don't let them. Tell your men to gang up on individual Kolos. 2 men for the small ones, 3 or 4 for the big ones. We won't be able to maintain a large front, but that will keep us alive the longest. Exposition, but well done exposition.
Yeah, it's necessary. We're learning. Well, learning. We knew these things, but it's nice to have them phrased this way. But yeah, they're learning it. It's necessary. Okay, we're not just re-explaining for the sake of it. It's necessary.
Yeah. Don't worry about creatures that get around our line and enter the city. We'll have the civilians hidden at the back of your town, and the Kolos who bypass our line might turn to pillaging, leaving others to fight alone. That's what we want. Don't chase them down into the city. Your families will be safe. That's a dangerous assurance to make.
Yeah, they'll be safer than you.
Yeah. If you're fighting a big Kolos, attack the legs. Bring it down before you go for the kill. If you're fighting a small one, make certain your sword or spear doesn't get caught in their loose skin. Understand that Kolos aren't stupid. They're merely unsophisticated, predictable. They'll come at you the easiest way possible and attack only in the most direct manner. The important thing for you to understand is that they can be beaten. We'll do it today. Don't let yourselves become intimidated. Fight with coordination. Keep your heads, and I promise you that we will survive.
Very rousing speech. To the point, but also still like, listen, we're going to do this. And of course, it's going to be along with some emotional allomancy, so that helps. And you kind of need that. You need that buff going into battle. We saw how Breeze had to do that. So, all good. Just a thing... Thinking about the actual getting your spear or your sword stuck in their skin, that's a comical but also very real possibility. Makes sense. And then when he was just now when you were going through this, I was like, him putting this whole speech for he has to absolutely not be bluffing this thing.
Yeah.
Like if this was all deception, I would be really, really upset.
Agreed.
oh no, and like his argument for it would be like, oh no, I need to teach the people that they need to win something and they can win and they're capable. I just don't think deception would be it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The soldier captains stood in a small cluster looking at Venture. They didn't cheer at the speech, but they did seem a little more confident. Alamancy! They moved off to pass on Venture's instructions to their men. Fatrin approached the Emperor quietly. If your count is correct, they outnumber us 5-1. Venture nodded. They're bigger, stronger, and better trained than we are. Venture nodded again. We're doomed then. Venture frowned, black ash dusting his shoulders. You're not doomed. You have something they don't. Something very important. What's that? Venture met his eyes. You have me. It's true, he's a Mistborn.
Yes, very epic. And you know what? Vin's had lines like that as well, and I've gone, yeah! So you know what? You go, Elend. I want to see what you can do, what you've been doing in the past year. How have you been trained?
Yeah, very much so. Can he put up...
How does he
can he hold up against Vin?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how much of a fight can he put up against Vin? Vin's special, okay?
Yeah.
How does he compare to his brother, Zane? Because Zane was also an insane Mistborn.
Yeah. My Lord Emperor! A voice called from atop the bulwark. Kolos sighted! They already called to him first, Fatrin thought. Fatrin wasn't certain whether to be insulted or impressed. Venture immediately jumped up to the top of the bulwark, using his allomancy to cross the distance in a quick bound. Most of the soldiers stooped or hid behind the top of the fortification, keeping a low profile despite the distance of their enemies. Venture, however, stood proud in his white cape and uniform, shading his eyes, squinting toward the horizon. He's using tin.
Mm-hmm.
They're setting up camp, he said, smiling. Good. Lord Fatrin, prepare the men for an assault. An assault! And I had the same reaction that Fatrin did right there. It's like, what?
Oh, whoa. We're not just waiting here? Okay.
Yeah. Were you planning that the whole time, Ellen?
Yeah, I suppose. Or is there something he sees? Because they're setting up camp, he's changed his mind?
Mm-hmm. An assault! Fatrin asked, scrambling up behind Venture. The Emperor nodded. The Kolos will be tired from marching and will be distracted by making camp. We'll never have a better opportunity to attack them. But we're on the...
I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement. Don't let them rest.
Yeah. Insofar as they can feel tired, they're never going to be more tired than after the march.
Yeah.
But we're on the defensive! Venture shook his head. If we wait, they'll eventually whip themselves into a blood frenzy, then come against us. We need to attack rather than wait to be slaughtered. And abandon the bulwark? The fortification is impressive, Lord Fatrin, but ultimately useless. Ooh. Brutal.
That's horrible.
Brutal, Ellen.
But you need to hear these things, okay? You do.
The fortification is impressive, Lord Fatrin, but ultimately useless. You don't have the numbers to defend the entire perimeter, and the Kolos are generally taller and more stable than men. They'll take the bulwark from you, then hold the high ground as they push down into the city. But, Venture looked at him. His eyes were calm, but his gaze was firm and expectant. The message was simple. I am in charge now. There would be no more arguing. Yes, my lord, Fatrin said, calling over messengers to pass the orders. Elend in command.
Yeah, he needs to be. And
it's happening
like I
so
said,
fast.
The things that he had to... Yeah, it has to happen fast, though. This has to occur. And also just the thing of him, learning how useless his bulwark is. That's brutal. You know what's more brutal, Dorkus? Being killed by Kolos. So I just imagined him going, oh no, my bulwark really was useless. When, if he refused to obey Elend and what Elend described happened. So yeah, again, just also more of Brandison giving us a note like this. Elend has been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
He's not unfamiliar with Kolos anymore.
Yep. Venture stood watching as the messenger boys dashed off. There seemed to be some confusion among the men. They weren't expecting to attack. More and more eyes turned toward Venture, standing tall atop the bulwark. He really does look like an emperor, Thatrin thought despite himself. The orders moved down the line. Time passed. Finally, the entire army was watching. Venture pulled out his sword and held it high in the ash-scattered sky. Then he took off down the bulwark in an inhumanly quick dash, charging toward the Kolos camp. Naruto run.
Yeah. But I'm also thinking of him running in his suit, really. It's weird, but whatever. I'm sure it looks cool.
For a moment, he ran alone. Then, surprising himself, Thatrin gritted his teeth against shaking nerves and followed. The bulwark exploded with motion, the soldiers charging with a collective yell, running toward the death with their weapons held high. Yeah, give away the fact that you're charging to the Kolos to give them time to arm up. That's smart. I'm kidding.
It's a charge. Yeah, it's a charge. They're going to see it anyway.
What a start to the book.
Yeah, lovely. Epic. We're in action immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I like how fast it's going.
Agreed. I think it's...
Many questions.
Yeah, I think it's going to set the pace for the book. Very much so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see Ellen do cool stuff, but also Ellen, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to say, Kitte?
Yay! We started a new one.
Yay!
And we'll see you in the next chapter.
Indeed.
Episode.
Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kitte if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel. And we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, thanks, bye.